The Bloodhound is a large scent hound, originally bred for hunting deer, wild boar and, since the Middle Ages, for tracking people. Believed to be descended from hounds once kept at the Abbey of Saint-Hubert, Belgium, it is known to French speakers as la chien de Saint-Hubert. A more literal name in French for the Bloodhound is la chien de sang. This breed is famed for its ability to discern human scent over great distances, even days later. Its extraordinarily keen sense of smell is combined with a strong and tenacious tracking instinct, producing the ideal scent hound, and it is used by police and law enforcement all over the world to track escaped prisoners, missing people, and lost pets. Bloodhounds weigh from 36 to 72 kilograms, 80 to 160 lbs. They are 58 to 69 centimeters, 23 to 27 inches, tall at the withers. According to the AKC standard for the breed, larger dogs are preferred by confirmation judges. Acceptable colors for bloodhounds are black, liver, and red. Bloodhounds possess an unusually large skeletal structure with most of their weight concentrated in their bones, which are very thick for their length. The coat, typical for a scent hound, is hard and composed of fur alone, with no admixture of hair. This breed is gentle, and is tireless when following a scent. Because of its strong tracking instinct, it can be willful and somewhat difficult to obedience train and handle on a leash. Bloodhounds have an affectionate and even-tempered nature with humans, making them excellent family pets. Up to at least the 17th century, bloodhounds were of all colors, but in modern times the color range has become more restricted. The colors are usually listed as black and tan, liver and tan, and red. White is not uncommon on the chest, and sometimes appears on the feet. Genetically, the main types are determined by the action of two genes, found in many species. One produces an alternation between black and brown, liver. If a hound inherits the black allele variant from either parent, it has a black nose, eye rims and paw pads, and if it has a saddle, it is black. The other allele separate. The second gene determines coat pattern. It can produce animals with no saddle, essentially all tan, but called red in bloodhounds, ones with saddle marking, or ones largely covered with darker, black or liver, pigment, except for tan lips, eyebrows, fair chest and lower legs. These last are sometimes referred to as blanket or full coat types. In a pioneering study in 1969, Dennis Piper suggested 5 alleles in the pattern marking gene, producing variants from the red or saddle's hound through 3 different types of progressively greater saddle marking to the blanket type. However, more modern study attributes the variation to 3 different alleles of the agouti gene. A produces the non-saddle marked red hound, S produces saddle marking, and it produces the blanket or full-coated hound. Of these A is dominant, and it is recessive to the others. Another source does not recognize it as a separate variant. Instead it says it includes tan-pointed saddle tan, both of which look tan-point at birth. Modifier genes in saddle tan puppies cause a gradual reduction of the black area until the saddle tan pattern is achieved. Tan point refers to the blanket type from the typical tan eyebrows, muzzle and sex. It is likely that a third gene determines whether or not there is a melanistic mask. The allele for a mask is dominant over E, the allele for no mask. Compared to other purebred dogs, bloodhounds suffer an unusually high rate of gastrointestinal ailments, with gastric dilatation, bloat, being the most common type of gastrointestinal problem. The breed also suffers an unusually high incidence of eye, skin, and ear ailments. Thus these areas should be inspected frequently for signs of developing problems. Owners should be especially aware of the signs of bloat, which is both the most common illness and the leading cause of death of bloodhounds. The thick coat gives the breed the tendency to overheat quickly. Bloodhounds in a 2004 UK Kennel Club survey had a median longevity of 6.75 years, which makes them one of the shortest-lived of dog breeds. The oldest of the 82 deceased dogs in this survey died at the age of 12.1 years. Bloat took 34% of the animals, making it the most common cause of death in bloodhounds. The second leading cause of death in the study was cancer, at 27%. This percentage is similar to other breeds, but the median age of death was unusually young, median of about 8 years. In a 2013 survey, the average age of death for 14 bloodhounds was 8.25 years. The bloodhound's physical characteristics account for its ability to follow a scent trail left several days in the past. The olfactory bulb on dogs is roughly 40 times bigger than the olfactory bulb on humans, relative to total brain size, with 125 to 220 million olfactory receptors. Consequently, dogs have an olfactory sense 40 times more sensitive than that of a human. 246 in some dog breeds, such as bloodhounds, the olfactory sense has nearly 300 million receptors. The large, long pendant ears serve to prevent wind from scattering nearby skin cells while the dog's nose is on the ground. The folds of wrinkled flesh under the lips and neck called the shoal serve to catch stray scent particles in the air or on nearby branches the bloodhound is scenting, reinforcing the scent in the dog's memory and nose. However, not all agree that the long ears and loose skin are functional, some regarding them as a handicap. It is generally agreed that the basis of initial training is to make the experience enjoyable for the puppy or young hound to keep its enthusiasm high. Whitney preferred waiting till the hound is 18 months old to start training, but others start as young as possible, say, 3 months. 1652 training can be started by running short trails on a family member whom the puppy sees walk away, at first remaining visible, and later going out of sight. Even though familiar with the scent of the runner, it can be given a scent article to sniff, and given the command to follow. It can also be introduced to the tracking harness, which is put on just before the trail starts, and removed as soon as it is finished. On reaching the runner, the puppy is given lavish praise and perhaps a reward. Generally in training, the handler must know exactly where the runner went, so that he does not encourage the hound when it is wrong, or correct it when it is on the scent, but he should not be too ready with his corrections if the hound goes astray, or it may come to rely on him. He should give the hound time to realize its mistake and put itself right, if possible. As training progresses, the handler learns to read his hound's behavior. The hound must trust his nose and the handler must trust the hound. From early hot trails on a familiar person, the young hound progresses to colder trails on the scents of strangers. Later training can be designed to teach particular lessons. Crossing trails with false scents, having the runner start out with a companion, who leaves him somewhere along the trail. Laying a trail on ground frequented by wild animals. This will teach the hound not to change onto other humans, or rely on animal scents, known as staying clean US, or freedom from change UK. It also needs to work over a variety of ground and learn to cope with distractions of many kinds, as well as being introduced to negative trails. Given a scent article which has not been handled by anyone in the area, so that it will learn to indicate to a handler that the required scent is not there. If it is becoming discouraged, it can revert to simpler tasks to recover enthusiasm.